I already introduced you to the OP11 Nami leader. We did a curve analysis in the previous video about this and we tried to speculate how this leader will be working. For today's video I've taken it a step further. I've played over 200 games in the sim to find out which decklist is the best for this leader. And what was the result? Well, you would be wondering because there are so many ways to build this leader and a deck around it that works, but there is no definite answer to that. How you want to play this leader will rather be decided how you feel best about it. For this video we will take a look at the decklist I have been crafting as well as some games I've played for the making of this video. So let's dive in. First, let's take a look at the counter cards in this list. We are running all of these as 4-offs because these cards are great utility for your deck. The Hiyori can stack up your life in the early game to set up a trigger that benefits you, for example a Gravity Blade Raging Tiger, but in the late game as well to set up a badge to eat an attack more in the end. But Flampe is also great to drop on your first turn to draw 3 cards instead of 2. Nojiko is a nice way to bounce a 5 cost back to hand. You won't remove it entirely and your opponent can play it the next turn, but it's great to take over the tempo of a game. Same goes for Jozu. You know that I love this card. This card removes a 6 cost and can also combo out with Nojiko as well. You can bounce your recently played Nojiko back to your hand just to play it out again and get rid of a board that is really wide. Speaking of wide boards, we're also playing the Gravity Blade Raging Tiger. Now I know that Red Rock would be a better option, especially against the new blue-purple Luffy, but I found the blue-purple matchup almost unwinnable and a Red Rock won't change that. So that's for the removal. Let's move on to the blockers. For the blockers we've got the 2-cost Shirahoshi in yellow. This is one of the best blockers in the game. It guarantees you another life in most cases and is really great if you can drop this early on to the board. The Marguerite is a nice blocker as well because even though your leader almost every turn draws you a card, you will have problems with hand size later on. So dropping a Marguerite, drawing a card in the process can help you stay alive a bit more in the end. So I decided to run both as a 3-off. For the top end I've decided to go with Lin, Luffy and Kid because these are the best options to just pressure our opponent's life. Lin is great on curve, Luffy is nice to remove a 4 cost in the process of attacking with it. Also it puts a Don onto your leader so you can play it out on your 8 Don turn alongside your Lin. And Kid is nice for later on if you just need to trash an opponent's life. We are also playing 3 copies of the Charlotte Pudding, why wouldn't we? And to finish it off, we are playing 3, let's call it tech options. Kikunojo is a nice option to put onto our lives with the Hiyori effect. Same goes for Soul Pokers. I really like this card with Hiyori because in this deck you can afford to play this combo because you draw with your leader ability as well. And having the 7 cost Lin effect into a free trigger is really nice to pull off. And Slave Arrow is just a poor man's Gum Gum Giant because it counters out for 4 as well. But the condition is you have to bounce a character back to your hand so you can bounce your Hiyori back, gaining an additional 2k in hand. Let's now take a look at some decklists. This first of all is the decklist we are playing in this video, but there are many other versions as I said. This is a version which tries to capitalize on the 9-cost Sanji with cards like the Perona, the 2-cost Teach, or even the new 5-cost Nami. And this is another version which tries to dominate the board with Kaidos and Aces by playing characters like again the Teach or even the 8-cost Luffy before going into the 10 Don turn to guarantee putting a Don onto your leader. This deck overall has some manageable matchups. First, take these statistics with a grain of salt because it's my experience from the games I've played in the sim. According to those, I've won 70% of my Pluffy matchups, so 7 out of 10 games ended with me winning. For the blue-purple Luffy that comes out in OP11 as well, we haven't done that good. This is by far, as I mentioned earlier, the worst matchup we have with this deck. And it shows because I was only able to win 20% of the games I was going against this deck. Next up we got the EB02 Luffy. This matchup is quite manageable as well because we own so many options to bounce their Pudding and Sanji's back to hand. The only thing that can be dangerous is an unexpected 6-cost Rush Luffy. For all of these matchups you would want to take first away. Unlike with these 3, you would want to take second away from Shanks, Blackbeard and Enel. Against Shanks I found myself winning 50% of the games I played. The same goes for Enel, although I think the Enel matchup is a bit harder. Blackbeard seems to be our second to worst matchup, but I think that shouldn't be a surprise. And the data shows by us only winning 40% of the games. Now let's take a look at what you want to start with. Having a Hiyori alongside any trigger is just so satisfying to draw an extra card from that and set up something on top of your life. And also having a Hiyori already on board for effects that you can utilize later on in the game, like Jozu or even the Slave Arrow, is just so important. Also having one of the blockers, one of the removal and one of the top end is just all you need. The deck does the rest for you. So with all of that, let's dive into the gameplay, and for the first match, we've got a really tight Pluffy matchup. We are going against Pluffy and I'm going second, just having the practice to go second against this. And I'm gonna keep this hand because I have a Hiyori, a Flampe, options for early. He drops a Searcher, which is nice, picks a Zorojuro, and because we have nothing to put onto our life with the Hiyori, we play out Flampe just to be able to put it on onto our leader. He swings 6, which is okay because I can throw this non-counter out, and we go in our Fordon turn, into our Fordon turn. It's a thought to put the Nojiko out, but I don't think I'm going to do it. Maybe I find something. Soul Pocus is actually great. The thought there was to put the Raging Tiger onto life to remove the Mr. 2 that way, but this is okay as well. And then I'm going to drop the Shirahoshi and end my turn. The thing now is I have no Don under my leader, but it's okay. He's at 7. He can now drop the Sanji. He does it to rest my Shirahoshi and free swing. He swings with his leader, which is unexpected. The law would be better. But this life we are going to take. And what will he do? He'll trash a life. Okay. We are at 6 now. We don't have that many great options. We could again play the Nojiko, but it's still not a threat, so maybe putting 2 blockers out is better. I don't know. Maybe we draw something with the Marguerite, but it's just another Nojiko. So let's just swing 6 and pass. Having 2 blockers is okay. Could have been worse. What he can do now is he's at 8, I think. He swings 5. I'm going to throw the non-counter out, because there's at least one swing that comes our way as well, so I can throw this Nojiko off and stay at 2 life. He drops the Katakuri, which is interesting. This card is coming out of OP11 2, and it can restand itself, and it's a blocker. I'm thinking dropping this Linlin, but swinging first would be better, just to bait out a counter rather than him free blocking. Maybe he takes it because he has only 4 cards in hand and needs options, and he takes it, which is good. We draw a Soul Pocus, which doesn't do much for us, but the Linlin now. And he trashes a life. That's bold of him. He's courageous. And he finds a Luffy. I'm gonna take this non-counter to counter it out. And then he swings 7, I think. Yeah, 7 into 7. Another 1k would be doing it. Yeah, let's do that. And then he copies our Linlin. Yeah, I should have gotten rid of this earlier. But that way I have now 2 blockers, which is okay too, because I can use this Marguerite now. Still stay at 2. I think I'm going to take this, to be honest. I want the blocker on board, and I need options in my hand. And yeah, that's what's happening. I didn't find anything of life, but we luckily drew a kit. So I'm going to get rid of this Mr. 2 for now. Play the kit, trash a life, draw a card, and then swing with the Linlin. He'll counter that out. Yeah, with Gum Gum Giant 2. That's great. Zorojuro for that. And then we can just put the Don onto leader. Maybe he forgot he has a blocker. He doesn't. And we get 2 2Ks this turn. That's actually great. So I think we survive this turn as well. Trashing that to become a 7 base. Another counter should do. And what he does now is 8 into... another counter as well. Makes it easy. 7k lead is actually great. And that one we block because we can now bait him into swinging into our board with another Luffy. He doesn't know we have two 2Ks. And he does. Another Luffy comes onto board and he will swing into our board and we can counter out. That's actually nice. The life fit we wasn't able to counter out, you know. And he now has a blocker and we have 3 swings. We just have to math it out. 5 into lead, let's start with that. It's a 1k, at least 1 card from hand. And then we swing with 1340. That's okay. In 13 he blocks probably. Or does he have counter for that? 1 Gum Gum Giant is 4k, mind you. But he does have none. That's great. He has 3 2Ks, a 1k, and that's it. Yeah, GG's. So next up we are going against the new structure deck Luffy. And I'm going to keep this hand because we have many options to remove his characters. Here we are going to stack down onto our leader and pass. So we can swing the following turn. He plays out a Nami and then swings 7. I'm going to counter this out because this is an aggressive deck and I want to stay healthy. And yeah, let's swing 7 and bounce the Nami back. The 3-cost Nami. Now it's a pretty pesky card. It can put Don onto his leader. I think it's 2 Don every single turn. Yeah. And it doesn't rest itself, so the only thing we can do is bounce it. Yeah, and he decides to split here and swing 5 and 7. I could throw a card out to just get rid of the first attack and then take the second. Yeah. So at 6 right now, what we can do is play out the Jozu or force into life to play out the pudding. Let's see what he does. He took it, so we guessed right and can now play out the pudding to get rid of 3 cards in his hand. He was at 8 cards in hand. And he now is at 6, which means, okay, he plays out a Search and Army again into the Zoro, which is interesting. Now this Zoro is on KO. It plays out another card, and that's really annoying, I would say. Sorry, I thought about not countering up, but it's the best option. And let's do that. And we could actually now go ahead and play the Luffy to bounce something back to hand. But Jozu would be a better option here, because we now can swing 7 with our leader instead of 6 if we played the Luffy. So that means we can draw another card, which is great. So he plays out his dragon, which means there will be coming 2 big attacks to our face now. And I actually only have 1 2k, and we get lucky with the badge, which is really great. And now we can go and play out the Luffy, or the Kid would be better maybe. Let's do that. We trash a vanilla from his life, and then we swing 7 and another 7, which he probably will counter out. Yeah, he does with a 2k and a 1k. We now can cycle 2. The Gravity Blade is a non-counter, and the Luffy is the one I would want to keep. He plays out a Zoro again. And this Nami is so great. This 3-cost Nami, he can just put 2 Don onto anything he wants, which makes this Zoro gain his rush. And then he has the 2-cost Sanji as well, which has rush 2, and he gives up. Next up we are going against the new EBO2 Luffy. And our hand is looking quite good for going second. We can play the Shirahoshi out and pass. Mind you, we could have played the Flumpy as well, but I'm a bit scared of the 6-cost Luffy, so I don't want to take life this progressively. And what we can do now is swing 5 and establish the Kiku, which would be the best bet, because the Kikunojo is a 6k base, and his leader becomes a 6k base as well. So that's actually something that gives us the run for our money during the course of a game. And he takes the swing. That means we can draw a card, which is unexpected, but okay, interesting. But I'm not arguing with that. So we pass to him, and he is now at 5, and he does not have a Sanji pudding. Maybe that's the reason he took the life, because he wasn't able to find a Sanji pudding on time. So now he has to be fine with playing the Zorojuro. And he swings, so he ramps with the Frankie, which means we could counter out because it's only a 5k. I don't want to throw the pudding, to be honest. So let's do the Jozu instead. And now his leader is at 6, puts 2 under it. Yeah. And that's good that we played out the Shirahoshi first, because I really want to stay healthy here in this matchup. And what we can do is swing 7 with the Kikunojo, because I would want to play out the pudding, as you saw, and then swing with the leader. So that means this way he's at 2 life. He lost a big hand there, and is at 2 lives. This deck it has a problem. It already runs many non-counter cards. So if we are able to force him to use a Gum Giant here early, that would be great. Now I could counter out with the pudding, because pudding has done its job already, and we have 3C now. He plays out the Zorojiro, can swing here with the other one still, and has the Luffy left. One of these attacks I'm probably going to take. Yeah, there are the Dons that he gets back. And let's counter with nothing, because we get a trigger that does not much for us. And this one we are going to counter out the Flumpy, because maybe there's a case where we can use the pudding still later on. And being at 8 is great, because here comes a 6. And he counters. Here comes a 4 into 4. And that goes, and here comes the Luffy into bouncing the bouncing the oh shit, that's a misplay on my part. His Zorojuros are at 6 cost, so that means we are going to get the pudding back to hand, but that's okay as well, because this way we can put the Dawn onto our leader. I would have done it that way either way. So he counters out. He has now the curve to play Luffy Taro into Sanji Pudding, which is great for him. The Sanji Pudding will be protected because it's at 7 cost. I'm going to throw out this event. That way we can keep our 2Ks. Yeah, let's bottom deck these 2 and swing 8. Not use the ability. And yeah, for lack of better options we had to play out the Raging Tiger here, but that's okay because the cards go back to the deck instead of his hand. And now we can pressure a bit, and he is low in hand size, so I think that was the right play, especially because we were able to stay pretty healthy. We are at 3 life now, and yeah, He can either close out the game or wall up, but he can't do both. And what he does here now is to decide to play the Luffy Taro into another Zorojuro. So at this point he has seen all three. And we are going to take the first swing just to be able to see what we get before deciding countering out. And the next one will be the Luffy Taro. Now this I'm going to counter out because I have another Hiyori in hand. And 9 we are going to take, and it's luckily a Kikunojo, which is great for now finishing this off. Because as I said, he has only 2 cards in hand. The Dawn that's up that will be a threat is removed in a single attack now. But let's take the life first. Be able to bounce the Hiyori back to hand just to put the Dawn onto our leader. Yeah, this was the right play, I think, because this way we are going to go secure. And as I said, he counters that out, but it wasn't that necessary because right now we swing 7, which requires a 2k, and we still have 2 attackers, so this game's fate was sealed. We are going against Lucci, which means that we would want to mulligan this, but I could draw something with Flampe, so that's the reason I kept it. And let's see what we can do. Let's play out the Flampe, take the life, and then put a Dawn onto our leader and pass. At 3 he could play out a Brook, get rid of the Flampe, or maybe a Kobe. I don't know if Lucci's are opting to play Kobe's, but let's see. Actually interested in the OP11 meta how Lucci will do, because in the East there was some topping lists and it's actually looking quite interesting. There are many ways to build this leader. Well, let's first counter out with a non-counter. Yeah. The reason I kept the Gravity Blade is because he can have pretty annoying characters. Let's bounce this back and swing 7. Mind you, he will play it out next turn, just getting rid of our Nojiko, but sometimes the tempo isn't in his favor and he can't keep playing it out again and again. So let's see what he does next turn, especially being at 5 Dawn. There are many great options for this deck for 5, rather than playing a Brook out for 3 again. Yeah. And we have our Jozu, the Linlin. So next turn we can play out the Jozu, and the following turn we can play out the Linlin. Or we could establish 2 blockers next turn, which wouldn't be that great because the Margery is probably going to be KO'd immediately. The better thing would be if we stack the Dawn onto our leader, swing into life, and then play out the Pudding, because he has such a great hand size. And that's the great thing with Nojiko. You won't remove things permanently, but you can put them back into hand to make Pudding extra burning for the opponent. And this attack we are going to counter out, and as we said, he plays his Brook. That's the reason why he swung with his leader first. And now I'm going ahead and play the Nojiko, bounce this back, and then play the Pudding. Yeah, that's actually really efficient. We could have swung 5 first, but he would have countered it out no matter what, because Lucci doesn't like to go low. And he takes it as I expected, and this gives us the opportunity to put some pressure on. This is why I like this build more than the others, because it's kind of quirky, but if you can put a pudding onto board and get rid of 2-3 cards of your opponent and swing with your leader, he has to take the life most of the times because he does not have that many options as he had before. And then you follow up with a Lin or a Kid. That's just great. I like the way it plays out. And let's see what he does. He's thinking, and he used, okay, we draw a card from our leader, and now it's his turn. He thought so long about that trigger. I could have cut it here, but let's go with it. I have 2k, 1 2k and 1 1k. I can afford to get rid of the Jozu because it won't be doing so much right now. And yeah, let's get rid of the Jozu now because I don't have a Don onto my leader to throw out a non-counter, but that's okay. He plays out a Laboon into a blocker, and actually could be an option to go ahead and use Raging Tiger, to be honest, because that was 2 cards out of his hand, and he took 7 Don to establish it, so we go even. He loses a card more, because if I play the Lin, you see the problem is he will remove it immediately because his leader does -1 and the Laboon does -4, so our Lin is a 2 cost at that point, and there's not much that won't be able to remove it in his deck. Yeah, and he counters this out. As I said, Lucci hates to go beneath 3 life, and that way we can now next turn, if we hit 9, we can play out the Lin and then follow it up with the Shirahoshi, but the better thing would be to swing 8 and then play the Lin. That way he either gives us the life or he goes down to 1 life at that point. And this swing I am probably going to take. 10 is a bit high, and if you really want it, sure buddy, maybe he has no other options, and we get a kit which is actually even better, and he plays out another Laboon, and oh nice, we get the Luffy. So that's what I'm going to do instead, because it takes him more Don to establish this Laboon again. So we swing 8 and put a Don onto our pudding. That way we can, and we draw a Hiyori. Oh, that's actually interesting. But that way we can swing 6 with the pudding and 6 with our leader. So there are many use cases for this card. And let's swing another 6, and I'm going to guess he, yeah, counters it out. But he lost 3 or 2 cards in the process, which is actually great. And I imagine him swinging into the pudding because he's a bit scared probably. And if I am in danger the following turns, I still have the Hiyori into Capone combo. That way I can stop another attack and I draw with our leader ability again. But I think next turn I would want to establish a kit just to start cycling with our hand and pressuring more into his life. He swings 5, which I'm going to counter out with the non-counter in our hand. And he plays out a Kuzan. Nice. So the Kuzan is something I can't get rid of that easily. But let's... we could actually, so first swing 8 with the Luffy, not use his ability, and then go ahead and swing, or should we play out the Hiyori? Let's play out the Hiyori, because we can take our life and put this Kikunojo back, And instead of swinging 7 here with the lead, we now can be sure if he swings into our life that we have another attacker, so we can close out the game. Mind you, the Lin does nothing here for us at this point because our opponent is at 0 life. He can just choose to trash a life and it won't do nothing because he has no life. And yeah, the reason I played out the Hiyori and not have been putting any Don onto our leader is because he only has 2 swingers and we have 2 life left. He can put us to 0, but there's no rush options in Lucci. And this one we counter out with a 2 and a 1. And what he can do now is stack up 15 Don to one of the... Okay, he plays out Jack, so now he swings into our life. And this way we can get the Kikunojo onto board, which means we have another attacker. But the Jack, first of all, is going to pop one of our characters, preferably the kid. But that doesn't stop us, because he needs a blocker at this point. Maybe even 2. Yeah. Now he swings 5, and there's no way he's going to win this, because we take this life, and out comes a Kikunojo, and he has 1 blocker, and we have 3 attackers now. Yeah, let's swing with the Luffy first. 8 into 5, and let's actually bounce back the Bato. A 2K is not as worse as bad as a blocker, but we win either way. There's no way he blocks this, and GG's.